Hello, welcome to Cafdil lessons.
Hello, my wonderful viewers. You are welcome again to another interesting Cafdil Science lessons. And from Cafdil Studios, this is your teacher, Ernest Atto Benter. Kids, today we are here to continue our lessons on materials. In our first lesson, we talked about types of root system in plants. Then we moved to properties of metals. Today we are still going to talk more on metals. Note that these lessons are based on the GES NACA curriculum that you are also using at school. So we started with strand 1, diversity of matter, and then in our second lesson we moved to substrand 2, that is materials. And under that we talked about properties of metals. So today we are going to talk about the uses of metals based on their properties. Note that you can also enjoy these lessons on our social media handles. On YouTube, go to Cafdil Edu on YouTube, and on Facebook, go to Cafdil Cape Coast to enjoy these interesting lessons as well as other programs by Cafdil. Today, as I said, we are moving on to properties, uses of metals based on their properties. We talked about the properties of metals in our previous lesson. So today we are moving on to the uses of metal based on their properties. And I remember we talked about ductility, poor conductivity of heat, malleability, and the rest. So today we are going to look at the uses based on each property. Before we begin the lesson, let's look at our performance indicators. That is what I would like you to achieve or know at the end of this lesson. So at the end of the lesson, you'll be able to give 4 examples of metals. 4 examples of metals. And then to state 4 general uses of metals. State 4 general uses of metals. So you give 4 examples of metals and 4 uses of metals based on the properties they have. Now, let's get to the uses of metals. The uses of metals. If you could remember, we talked about a lot of properties. Metals being hard and strong, metals being ductile, metal being sonorous, and the rest. So we are going to pick the properties one by one. So when we talk about the property, then we talk about some of the uses that metal can be put into based on that property. So we'll begin with metals being hard and strong. If you remember our previous lesson, we tested how hard and strong metals are. So we even compared the brick and then the metals through compressing them. And we saw that the bricks broke into pieces, whilst the metals didn't break into pieces. So if a metal is hard and strong, that is difficult to break into pieces, then what are some of the uses we can put these metals into? 1, because metals are hard and strong, we can use it to manufacture this tractor. You see that majority of the parts of this tractor is made of metals. And we know the work that these tractors do. They carry big stones, they can do demolition and the rest. They carry soil and the rest because they are hard and strong. We can also use it to make the body of a car. The body of a car. We can also use it to construct a bridge. You can see a lot of bridges around. You can see a lot of bridges around. So because metals are hard and strong, we use it to manufacture tractors, we use it to make bridges, and then we use it to make the body of a car. We can also use it to make a hammer. You see that we use hammer to push nails into substances like wood or materials like wood. We can also use hammer to break things into pieces. So if the hammer is not hard and strong, it cannot perform this job. You see a car jack here. What is the function? We use it to raise car up so that we can work under the car. So if this car jack is not strong, then it cannot even raise the car higher so that we can get space to work on the car. So because metals are hard and strong, we can use it to lift up cars when there is a problem. We can also use it to make a wheelbarrow, and we use wheelbarrow to carry a lot of load. So because metals are hard and strong, these are some of the uses that we can put them into. Now let's get to malleability. Malleability. And if you remember the properties, we said that malleability means the ability of metals to be beaten into sheets, as you see on your screen. So the ability of metals to be beaten into sheets is called malleability. So if metals have that property, then when we beat metals into sheets to make it flat, then what are some of the uses we can put these metals into? One, we can use it to make this tray. We can use it to make this tray. We can also use it to make this aluminium foil, and we use this to wrap food. We use this to wrap food. We can also use it to make roofing sheets because we can beat metals into sheets. So some market women use this to sell. We can use this to wrap food. We can use this to roof our buildings. So because metals can be beaten into sheets, these are some of the uses. We can also use it to make fan blade. You see that the fan blade is flat like a sheet, the fan blade. So because metals can be beaten into sheets, can be used to make fan blades. We also have a cap. You see that the cap is being beaten into sheets, and then we fold it in a round form. So because it can be beaten into sheets, we can get a cap. We can also get knives from this property because this part of the knife is flat and it's made of metal. We can also get hoe. Look at this side of the hoe is flat. Look at this cutlass. This side of the cutlass is flat. Look at this hand thrower is flat. Look at this spade is flat. We can get all these objects from metals because of the property of malleability of metals. So because metals can be beaten into sheets, we can get all these objects from metals. We can also use it to make utensils because they are flat. They beat the metals into sheets before they mold it into these utensils. The lid too is flat, as you see. If you look at this frying pan here, it's also flat. Because metals can be beaten into sheets, we can use it to mold frying pans. Good. Now let's get to luster of metals. And when we talk about luster, if you remember the property, we said that is the shining property of metals. The shining property of metals. So if metals are shiny, metals that are shiny, what are some of the things that we can use that metals for? We can use the metals for musical instruments like trumpets. See that they are very shiny. We can use it to make money coins. See that when you get new coins, they are very shiny and beautiful. We can use it to make rings, necklace, because they are shiny and attractive. These are some of the things that we can use shiny metals for. For trumpets, for money coins, for rings, and then for necklace. We can also use it to make trophies. Look at how beautiful this trophy is. Very shiny. You can also use it to make cutleries, like the spoon, the fork, the knife. They look shiny. Look at the utensils. They also look shiny. And because they are shiny, we use it to make all these beautiful objects you see on your screen. Now let's get to ductility. When we talk about ductility, it's the ability of metals to be shaped into wires. Ability of metals to be shaped into wires. So if metals can be shaped into wires, then what are some of the uses we can put these metals into? One, because we can shape them into wires, we can use it to make rings. You can use it to make rings, as you see here, rings. You can also use it to make nails, because we can shape them into wires. We can use it to make nails. You can also get electrical wires from the ductility of metals. Metals being ductile help us to make electric wires, help us to make nails, help us to make rings. We can also use it to make rake, because we can shape it into wires. We can get rake, we can get iron rod, as you see, and we can get wire mesh, because we can shape it into wires. We can get all these things. So you see that the property of metals help us to determine what that metal can be used for. What that metal. So it's very important to know these properties. Now, good conductor of heat. Good conductor of heat. When we talk about a metal being a good conductor of heat, that means that heat can pass through that metal without burning or melting it. If we say something is a good conductor of heat, it means that heat can pass through without burning that metal or melting it. So if a metal is a good conductor of heat, what can it be used for? We have utensils here that can be used for cooking. So metals that are good conductors of heat are used for making utensils. So you can put them on fire. It will not burn, it will not melt, but it will help you to cook whatever you want to cook. We also have the frying pan here, because it's a good heat can pass through without destroying the frying pan. We can use it to cook. You can use it to cook. We can also use it to make pressing iron. In the olden days, this is what we used to iron our clothes. We call it the box iron. Box iron. Before electricity came, or areas that have no electricity, they use the box iron. They just take some charcoal, make fire with the charcoal, and then they pour the charcoal inside the box iron. When it heats the box iron, they remove some of the charcoal and they use the heat in the box iron to iron clothes. So we can use it because heat can pass through without burning it or melting it. We can use it as a pressing iron. We can use it to make pressing iron to iron our clothes. You can all believe that if on Monday you are going to school, you wash your clothes during the weekend and then you wear it like that, wash and wear. You wear it like that to school, you will not look beautiful and handsome in your school uniform. You have to iron it so that you will straighten the dress and make it nice. So metals, being a good conductor of heat, help us to get pressing iron from it. That helps us to look good when we use it to iron our clothes to places. Now let's get to good conductor of electricity. Good conductor of electricity. That means that ability of metals to allow electric currents to pass through. Ability of metals to allow electric currents to pass through. So if electric currents can pass through a metal, what can we use that metal for? We can use it for so many things. So you see that if copper is an example of metal, so if you connect copper, you see that the lights will light up. if it's a metal, you see that the light will light up. If it's a non-metal material, then the light will go off. So copper is metal, the light is on. Glass is not, so the light is off. Steel is metal, so the light is on. Wood is not, so the light is off. So ability of metals to allow electric current to pass through, that is what we call good conductor of electricity. So if metals are good conductors of electricity, then what can they be used for? We can use it to make electric stove. Electric stove. When electricity passes through the coils, it heats it, and then we can use that heat to cook our food. We can also use it to make electric wires, because electricity can pass through and give energy or power to our gadgets or machines. We can also use it to make a water heater, because electricity can pass through. It can pass through the coil here, and then it will heat it up so that it can heat the water for us. The same applies to the kettle that we use. There's a metal inside that heats up and then help us to heat our water. So because metals are good conductors of electricity, we can use it to make stove, we can use it to make electric wires, we can use it to make heaters. Good. Now let's look at metals being sonorous. That means that the metal makes sound when struck with something. So ability of metals to make sound, that is what we call sonorous. If you take a saucepan from your mom's kitchen and then hit it with a spoon, you see that it starts making noise. And that is what we call sonorous as a property of metals. So metals being sonorous, we can use it to make the cymbal instruments. They are used in churches, and then the military also use it during march past. We use this bell at school. Some churches also use bell. So metals being sonorous help us to get bells that alert at certain times to do certain things. So when you are at school and you hear the bell, it's either break time or change lesson or closing time. So the bell can be used to make announcements. And we also have guitar strings. So the metals are used as guitar string because of their sonorous property. And we enjoy music with guitar. So these are some of the things we can get from metals being sonorous. Then we have another metal that is liquid at room temperature. Liquid at room temperature. And example, if you can remember, can you remember the example of that metal that is liquid at room temperature? Good, mercury. So mercury is a liquid metal that is liquid in a room temperature. So that metal is liquid when it has a room temperature. And because of the liquid nature of mercury, we can use it in thermometers. So mercury as a liquid metal is used in thermometers. And the thermometer is used to check temperature of an object. We use it to check the temperature of an object. So if you look at this, there is a thermometer. So if they put this thermometer under or in your armpits, if your body is warm, you will see that the liquid will rise. This is the normal temperature of a human, 37. So if the liquid rises, then it means you have a normal temperature to 37. If it is below, if your body is very cold, then it means that the liquid will drop. If your body is very warm, then it means that the liquid in the thermometer will rise, meaning that you have a high temperature. So because of that liquid nature of mercury, we can use it in thermometers. And you know that when you go to the hospital, we use a thermometer a lot to check the temperature of patients. So kids, these are some of the uses of mercury as a metal that is liquid at room temperature. Great. We are almost at the end of the lesson. And today we looked at the uses of metals based on their properties. The uses of metals based on their properties. We looked at metals being hard and strong. If they are hard and strong, we use it to make strong objects like bridges, like the body of the car, like tractors, like hammer, like wheelbarrow. Because they are hard and strong, these are some of the uses we can put those metals into. Then malleability, ability of metals to be beaten into shapes or into sheets. Ability of metals to be beaten into sheets. And because we can beat those metals into sheets, we can use it to manufacture roofing sheets, utensils. We can use it to make the blade of a fan, cutleries. We can use it to make cutlass. We can use it to make spade, hand trowel, as you saw in the lesson. And metals that are shiny, that is the luster property of metal, help us to do trophies, coins, and the rest. We also looked at ductility, ability of metals to be shaped into wires. And because of that, we can get electric wires and then nails as well as rings. We looked at the heat conductivity, metals that when heat passes through, it does not melt or burn. Because of that, we can use it to make utensils. We also have electrical conductivity, ability of electrical current to pass through some metals, help us to get electrical cables. And then we also have sonorous metals, and it helps us to make bells, some musical instruments like guitar, the cymbal instrument, and the rest. And the only metal that is liquid at room temperature, that is mercury, can also be used in thermometers. So, Kate, these are some of the uses of metals based on their properties. So if you know the property of the metal, you know the right thing that metal can be put into. Good. Now, before we leave, let's try our hands on these questions. 1. If a metal can easily be drawn into the shape of a wire, then it can be used for making. If a metal can easily be drawn into the shape of a wire, then it can be used for making 1. Plates, trumpets, and then nails. If it can be shaped into wire. Good, nails. So if a metal can be shaped into wire, we can use it to make nails. 2. Which of these is not a use of metal? Dress, car body, and plates. Good, dress. We don't use metals for dresses. 3. The only liquid metal that can be used in thermometers is called, we have copper, we have mercury, we have iron. Good, mercury. Mercury. 4. Shiny metal can be used for making. Shiny metals can be used for making. We have hole, we have rings, we have cutlass. Good, rings. Rings. And then 5. Metals that are sonorous can be used for making. Metals that are sonorous can be used for making. We have plates, we have bells, we have wires. Good, bells. Bells. You have all done well. Have all done well. And I believe you understood the lesson of uses of metals based on their properties. So kids, before we leave, let's take this assignment. State 2 uses of metals that are ductile, malleable, and luster. State 2 uses of metals that are ductile, malleable, and then the third one, luster. So ductile means that ability of metal to be shaped into wires. So if it can be shaped into wires, what can it be used for? Malleable, if you can beat metals into shapes, sheets, then what can it be used for? If we can, metals have that shining property, what can it be used for? That is the homework for you. And as we started with this new edition of Cafdil Science Lessons, you see a QR code on your screen. As we did for the previous lessons, use your phone or any digital device that you use like the tablet or phablet to scan the QR code to begin your exercise. As I said, if you don't have the QR code, if this is your first time and you don't have the QR code on your phone or tablet or phablet, go to Play Store if you are using Android to download QR code. Go to Play Store, type QR code in the search, and then you get series of them. You download, and then after downloading, you scan this QR code on your screen. You scan this QR code on your screen. After scanning, you see a link. Tap on the link and it will lead you to the exercise page. I'll give you some few minutes to do this activity. If you don't have the device to scan, write this assignment down. If you have the device to do both. As I told you from the beginning, you can also enjoy these lessons on our social media handles. On YouTube, go to Cafdil Edu, and on Facebook, go to Cafdil to enjoy these lessons or any other interesting program by Cafdil. When you scan the QR code, begin by typing your name, your school, and your location. When you finish answering the question, make sure you answer all the questions, and you are timed. So make sure you work within the time frame. When you finish, go to submit. And when you click on submit, another button will come, view results. So you see your results for the exercise you did. As you see your results, we at Cafdil too will see your results. And from time to time, we'll be acknowledging those who are performing wonderfully well on these exercises. And let me remind you, if you don't have data, it will not work. So make sure you have some data on your device before you try this exercise. Well done. You are welcome back. I believe you were all able to go through the activity on your screen. Kids, today we went through another interesting lesson on the uses of metals based on their properties. And I believe you understood the lesson very well. As I always advise you, anytime you sit in a lesson, make sure you learn something new and then add it to what you already know. Until I come your way again with another interesting science lessons, this is your teacher, Ernest Ato Benzel. Bye-bye.